Hello and welcome to what we're going to call a playoff masterclass with the most successful man in English football playoff history. And as we enter our ninth playoff campaign, we certainly need a few pearls of advice from the one, the only Neil Warnock. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be joining us.
No problem. Nice to be here.
Hey, you're coming to Nottingham. We know very shortly as well. Are you with me? The Playhouse, 14th of June. Looking forward to coming and seeing back a few old faces.
Yeah, it was nice. We were told originally by a Forest fan that we wouldn't sell tickets, so it made it more determined.
The Playhouse's gain is a certain other venue's loss, isn't it? Because, like you said, the ticket office was already Forest fan. What's he know?
I know. I'm looking forward to seeing all the county fans, and hopefully it'll be a celebration as well.
Yeah, well, pretty close to being a sellout. We're going to post a link, so the last remaining tickets can be snapped up from £40. There's also some meet and greet options available, so that's going to be great. Playoffs. We're entering our ninth playoff campaign now. We've only ever won two of them. They were a long while ago with you. There's a lot of banter on our podcast. Playoffs, lottery, luck, skill. You're the man. Give us an insight.
I just think it's once you get over the disappointment of not gaining automatic promotion, then you just have to stop feeling sorry for yourselves, and you have to think about we were the best team that's left in those playoffs, and you have to go out and play. And I just took the pressure off the lads. We went away for a couple of days golfing and relaxing at the Belfry when I was there, and we had a night out with the lads as well. And but then we started the week up to the final. We worked obviously on the opposition and everything else, everything serious. In the semi-finals, I found it more difficult. When we played Bolton Wanderers, for example, we finished 17 points in front of Bolton Wanderers. Well, I mean, you finished even more so, and haven't you, this year? But 17 points. I remember when we went to Burnden Park, which was before the new stadium was built at Bolton, and I kept thinking, how can we be playing when we finished 17 points in front? And it used to get under my mind. And we went to Bolton, and they scored first. And I'm stood there on the touchline. Referee was giving them everything. And I'm thinking, why are we here? 17 points, refs giving them everything. They're winning 1-0, but the lads came through. We were really strong. We were positive after half time. And we managed to turn the tie, at Meadow Lane. And we never looked back, really. The playoff finals, I just thought we were the best side. And currently this year, you are the best side that's in the playoffs. So I don't think you've got to dwell too much on. You've got to be organised. You've got to, the strengths and weaknesses of the other team. And on the day, anybody can beat anybody else. I don't know who else is in the playoffs. To be honest, I've had that much on in my mind. You could probably tell me who's in the playoffs, could you?
Well, I mean, it looks likely that if you like, Notts and Chesterfield are being kept apart, and then you're looking at, I guess, a cluster of clubs who would, without any disrespect to them, it's very dangerous. Your Barnets, your Boreham Woods, those types of clubs where they're going to be coming at it, I guess, Neil, you tell me, from a free hit.
Almost. No fear whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, they're all dangerous. Chesterfield probably will be the biggest threat. I saw the game at Notts County when Chesterfield went 2-up. Good following. The fans were fabulous. I played for Chesterfield as well.
I know
so that relationship I had with both clubs, but I thought it was a fabulous atmosphere that afternoon. And I actually went into the dressing room after at Notts County and said, well done to the lads.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, because it took some doing that, 2-0 up, 2-0 down, to come back through that. And I thought, showed a lot of character. And I think the playoffs is a time for your main players to stand up as well, really. Yes, you still need the rub of the green. you hope that it's not a contentious decision that goes against you and things like that. But you know, I have every confidence that they can, you know, can get back into it. But they won't take anything for granted. I know, because the manager's very thorough, and he'll know how difficult it's going to be. You know, psychological to be so many points in front, and then to have to play, you know, a club, you know, who's so many points behind. It is a little bit soul destroying for a manager, but you've just got to forget that, put it out of your mind as soon as you can, and just think about the positive. You know, we're the best team in this playoff final. We've got to play. We've got to show people that we're the best team. Fear no one, and obviously people like Longstaff, etc., and you know, other players have got to take the responsibility and get it. You know, get you through the rounds.
Now, I think I'm right in saying you got Scarborough promoted as champions. I think it was the first time after they'd scrapped re-election or whatever it used to be. For our younger fans, they won't understand what it means, but basically there was no automatic. You got Scarborough up in the first year. Now, from afar, I guess even you, wrapped up at Huddersfield, would have come across the whole Wrexham Notts County phenomenon, Ryan Reynolds, all of that sort of thing. As someone who won whatever it was called, the National League Conference, Vauxhall Conference, many moons ago, what have you made of it when you've seen Wrexham and Notts County slugging it out this year before, you know, an international audience?
Well, it was very much no. We haven't got the publicity that Wrexham have generated, for obvious reasons. But Barnet were they were the elite club with big names, people, Stan Flashman and Barry Fry. They were the favourites week in, week out. They never even, you know, I remember going to the PFA do in February, March time, and Ian St. John and Greavesy were doing the introductions. And they introduced, and it's nice to see at the back of the room Barry, the next team that's going to be in the Football League, Barry Fry and you know, Barnet and Stan Flashman, etc. And we were sat on another table, and we all looked at each other to say, "Well, let's wait and see." We were never given a chance, and but that just riled us. Really, that just brought that little bit extra to the table, and you know, we managed to get there, which was a really as good an achievement as I've had, really, winning that league. We were 50-1 outsiders to finish top. We, you know, rock bottom. We should have finished according to the bookies, and yet we kept confounding the critics, and we, you know, a great win that. And like you say, first time that they went up automatic into the league.
As someone who's managed across all levels of the pyramid, would you be an advocate of increasing the number of places up and down between the National League and the Football League?
I think so now. I mean, I think it's so organised now, so professional now. I mean, you've only got to look at this year. You know, I mean, Scunthorpe, my old team, getting relegated. Torquay, where I managed, getting relegated. You know, I look at Oldham, who's survived. You know, it's such a devastating blow when you get relegated from that league. That I think that's got to, you know, not just promotion back into your league, into the National League, but the National League going up. I think, you know, the Wrexhams, Notts Counties, Chesterfields of this world. I think they should have the same 3 promotion as the Football League. I think that's only fair because it's so well organised now, so professional, that there's no reason why that doesn't come in 2 automatic and then 4 in the playoffs. I think is the fair shout now.
Macaulay Longstaff, you've brought on a few strikers in your time. How good is he?
I'd have him tomorrow.
Yeah.
I would have him tomorrow, I would recommend him to anybody that would listen to me. I think he can play higher up. Definitely Championship.
Really?
I just think I think there's more to come from him as well. If I'm honest, I think there's a lot more to come from him. But I think he's been outstanding, and that, you know, it takes some doing. It's a bit like, you know, you look at Man City with Haaland, and everybody says, you know, blah blah blah, but it's the team that makes him. but the way that he's taken his opportunities, he's he's been the Haaland of the non-league, I think, this year, and I think he's got a very good future. I mean, I hope Notts County can keep hold of him, but I think if they didn't go up, it would be very difficult to keep hold of somebody like Longstaff, because he's just very disdain for bigger things,
Yeah, because he didn't come through the conventional route.
No.
He was telling me a big Borough fan, was a ball boy at Middlesbrough. That was about the limit of his interaction with professional football, and was playing with Neil Bishop's old club, Stockton, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I if I was at Middlesbrough now, I'd be trying to sign him in the summer, because they've had a lad on loan up front from Villa, I think it was, or somewhere like that. But they've got Akpon, who's found his position off the striker, scored all the goals. He was my main striker when I signed Akpon. But I didn't think he could do what he's done now, which is all fair to Carrick. He's put him in with a bit less responsibility, playing off the striker, and I think Longstaff could do that job. So I definitely would be thinking about taking him there, especially with him all his Middlesbrough contacts. He would. I think he would light the place up.
How big an achievement is it to get 40 plus goals in a season?
At any level at all. Yeah, any level. Did you say penalties?
Doesn't take any penalties.
No, I'm not surprised. I never had any. I couldn't take a penalty in my life. I can't even watch them nowadays. Mind you, we never get them at Huddersfield, so he doesn't come into it. Yeah. But it's. I think at any level to get that, and it's not an easy level. The non-leagues, top of the non-league pyramid, is not an easy level to score goals. And I think what I like about him is they're all types of goals. The distance shots, the tap-ins, the headers, the left foot, right foot. He's got everything in his locker, really. And that's why I'm surprised. I think other people must be looking at him now. Or they must have been looking at him, because I only saw him that once, and I thought straight away I'd take him tomorrow in that game against Chesterfield.
Conscious of your time, playoffs. If you look back at Notts County's playoff history, playoff games are so pivotal. I think we fundamentally, this will be our fourth successive playoff campaign in the National League. First one, playing Harrogate at Wembley, an empty Wembley, lose 3-1. Don't think too many Notts fans saw that. Harrogate established themselves in the Football League. You think back to 7 years ago, lost to Coventry in a League Two playoff, controversially with a dodgy refereeing decision. You look where Coventry are. It's amazing how the outcome of playoff games, and you've touched on it with someone like Macaulay Longstaff, it's so pivotal to people's futures, and is either a springboard or can knock you back quite a bit.
Yeah, it has it has all the things. I mean, I suppose that's why the playoffs are a good thing. Keep so many teams involved throughout the season. Everybody always thinks we've got a chance of getting in those playoffs, etc. But it is you've got to be strong mentally in the playoffs, and the manager has to lead. He has to take the pressure off the lads as much as he can, really. We had a great group of lads, and they looked a very good group of lads when I saw them, the Notts County lads. It did bring back memories. I could reel the names off of my players in the Notts County team. And I mean, they told me the second time when we played Brighton, I think it was, the second time, the young lads will freeze, Draper and Johnson, and Wembley, there'll be, it'll be a place for the young lads will freeze. They were the ones that relaxed. They were the ones that loved it. They were the ones that played like they were playing on a Sunday league. And it was the older lads, a bit like Craig Short and that were a little bit stiff and a bit worried. So it's funny how different games, and the manager will have to look at that and see, it may be somebody that he's not thought about that needed a little bit of an arm round or a little chat. Might be one of his most experienced players. It's amazing how things are different, and I think you do have to look around and see who needs a little bit of help and who needs a bit of relaxing. You know, I managed to get the lads. We stopped at Wembley, and I managed to get the lads onto the ground on the morning of the match. We took the bus out. We weren't supposed to, but I slipped a few quid to the guy on the door, and we went in and had a look on the pitch and took pictures, etc. So we weren't, you know, even the first one. I took the lads down the week before to watch Tranmere in a cup final.
Yeah,
and we actually sat with the Tranmere fans that game before, but at least we didn't have to. It wasn't all new to us, and you know, and I thought we adapted very, very well there. We had a good blend of experience and youth as well there. So, and the fans were brilliant. You know, I've no complaints. They were superb for me. You know, I mean, I turned Chelsea down and Sunderland. I think Derek Pavey, he went up to meet Sunderland chairman to say, "Leave him alone, will you?" And then he sacked me 6 months later. So it's one of them. I remember saying to Derek, "It'll be interesting over the next few years, Derek. See where Notts County end up." And sorry, when I tell him, you know, where you are now to where we were, you know, but it's great to see you're on the way back. You know, the crowd's unbelievable for non-league. And when I came down that game, the support, I've never seen that in, you know, and then we're talking about a non-league game. It was just fabulous. So I am really rooting for you. And obviously, if anybody needed any advice, I'm only on the end of a telephone if anybody wants to talk to me, you know.
One final point. When Notts played Harrogate, when it was COVID, Neil Ardley took a view. Apparently, some of the players didn't particularly want to travel overnight. So the players went down on the day of the game. Clearly, it's a slightly different world at that time with COVID. But that attracted a lot of debate. And clearly, people will draw conclusions. Notts losing, went down on the morning of the game, that sort of thing. Is it your view that a playoff final is something that should be kind of embraced as being something special?
Well, I think preparations have to be spot on. Me, I was surprised to hear that. I didn't know that. I just think you've got to get away all together the night before a big game like that. Personally, I think you can have meetings in the hotel. You can do a little bit. I mean, the first playoff final that we won at Notts County, I had people telling me about Tranmere. We had IT guys behind me telling me about the strengths and weaknesses, and we've got a video. We've done this. We've done that. So 12 o'clock on the morning of the game, we had a meeting, and Mick Jones said to me, "Gaffer, they're going to go through all the pluses and all the minuses of Tranmere." I said, "No, they're not, Mick." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "They're gonna watch a video of Chubby Brown." And I put a video of Chubby Brown on in his concert for half an hour. And I said to the lads, "Enjoy that, lads, eh? Now let's go and beat them now." You know, we didn't do anything about Tranmere then. I knew they were het up. They didn't want a video looking at the strengths and weaknesses. They needed to relax. And so that's something different that I did. And you know, I'm glad I did it, really, because it just took all the pressure off.
There's a huge debate, isn't there, these days? The modern world has evolved. Where's the balance between video analysis, understanding everything and stats, you know, and man management?
Well, I have this argument with everybody. I don't know whether you've heard me before. I'm sure you have.
I want you to give your view to our listeners.
Yeah, I mean, stats are okay. And when I was at Middlesbrough, I tried to sign a lad called Duncan Watmore, and the chief exec, Neil Bowser, said he wouldn't let me sign him. And I only wanted to sign him on peanuts. He was on absolute peanuts. He was going to go to India, and I had him over for 1, 2, 3 weeks, and they wouldn't let me sign him. And I couldn't work out. They only wanted peanuts. And so I had to ring the owner and say, "Look, I'll pay for him myself, and then let me have the fee then if we sell him." And in the end, the owner made sure that Bowser let me sign him. But his argument was his stats don't add up nearly. He doesn't score goals. Who says that? I said, well, all the stats in the office, they'd all got stats, and he didn't score goals. So I said, well, I've never seen a statistician score a goal yet, me. And Duncan signed for peanuts, and then before Christmas he'd scored about 8 goals. They'd give him another contract. He scored 10 goals for us. Stats are okay to support you at times, but listen, everybody's got degrees. Young managers can tell you how to manage and what they can do and how many miles they cover, how many yards they cover in a game, and how many passes that get there and how many passes away, and you name it. They've got stats for everything. And but man management is still 95% of success. Getting the best out of those players at that time, in that environment, against all the odds or as a favourite, whichever way, that's what wins your games. And I was very fortunate. I had a group of lads that listened to me that would have died for me, and great lads like Craig Short, Dean Yates, Phil Turner, Dean Thomas, Gary Lund, all the players, for me, bread and butter players. But absolutely, Tommy Johnson Drapes just come into it and, just as if they'd never been away. So I was really, and you've got to have a good goalie. Steve Cherry was out of this world. He got on my nerves at times. He was a bit of a nightmare. he moaned at everything. He moaned at the breakfast, the lunch, but he was a good goalie, and you need a good goalie. And so we had fantastic times, and times I'll never forget. And I hope that this is the start of the comeback now in the playoffs, that you can get back to where we should be, and that's Championship, Division 1 at least.
Neil, look, my dad first saw Notts County at Wembley when he was 70. Yeah, thanks to you. I was 28. Yeah, my son is 26 and not been able to see Notts at Wembley yet. You gave Notts County fans some of the very, very, very best moments of their careers. And I think also, from even at Notts, that was kind of where your style really shot to prominence, wasn't it? I mean, you'd done brilliantly at Scarborough, but Notts was kind of, Chelsea offered you the job. Craig Shaw, Tommy Johnson, Mark Draper, all went on to have great, great careers in the top echelons of football.
It's all their fault, though. It's all their fault that I didn't go to Chelsea and that. They came to see me. Please, Gaffer, don't leave us. Another manager comes and will sack us because we aren't that good. But we know what you are. So they owe me a lot, them lot. So just make sure you remind them, won't you?
I'll remind them, and I'll tell them to get their 40 quids out. But when you're back on June the 14th at Nottingham Playhouse, there's a link we'll be posting of how to get tickets if you've not already got that one. I am sure it will be a brilliant night. One thing with Neil, and I'm fortunate enough to have known him a little bit over the years, you get total honesty. And you get that wonderful insight from Neil. He tells you how it is. All those things that we as fans don't always know what went on behind the scenes. And just some of the ones that Neil's given us tonight, there will be 110 more June the 14th at Nottingham Playhouse.
I'll try and get one or two of the lads up on stage as well that year. I'm sure they'll want to come in and tell a few stories as well. Although, because behind my back, I'm sure they had a go at me at times.
Well, I know Drake should be around, Tommy. Steve Cherry has been a little bit poorly recently, Neil.
Yeah.
If you know that, yeah. I'm sure he'll be. He's a fighter, isn't he? He's a fighter and a wonderful.
He'll have a laugh when he sees this.
Your first signing.
He'll moan about the quality of the filming.
We did have a few gremlins. We did have a few gremlins. Neil, look, you need to keep Huddersfield up, right? Okay. Don't wade in too heavily, all right, for Macaulay Longstaff, unless it's 2.5 mil plus, okay? Yeah. Thank you ever so much indeed. Look forward to seeing you on June the 14th.
Thank you very much.
Very best with Huddersfield in the coming days as well.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing everybody. See you later.